What's up, folks? And I want to welcome you to the first episode of the Mental Breakdown. Now, here in the Mental Breakdown, we talk about different mental skills, how they apply to everyday life, sport, business, and a plethora of other subjects. But today, we're going to talk about UFC 257. Now, this is an electrifying event, had many great fighters, but we're going to talk about two in particular, Conor McGregor and my man, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. Let's go.
What you do it live? 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 Y'all can do it like me. What you do it live? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it live?
Now, the last time these two squared off, Dustin lost via TKO in the first round. Now, people were saying that this would be on his mind. This would be lingering. It's going to affect him in this fight. Now, me, I thought otherwise. But that's my job, right? I'm Mr. Mental Muscle. I'm supposed to get people's mind right. So, of course, I knew he's going to overcome any doubts that people might have. It's whatever. But let's talk about how I would approach some of the drills I used with Dustin on the way to fighting Conor in UFC 257. When I work with a fighter, I like to start off with getting them in a calm, relaxed state so they can see where they are and have a baseline. So when they are nervous or frustrated or whatever it may be, they can tell they're getting more tense, tell they're getting frustrated. So I do a drill I call the mindful Stroop task. It means you have to breathe and pace with a sequence of bars that go up and down. Now you're breathing in, inhale, breathing out, exhale, because it slows down the heart rate, it puts you in a calm state, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is what you need to be relaxed. So by invoking this state, you hack your body to actually get calm and less frustrated from a physical standpoint. And also, since the Stroop task, which is when the color doesn't match the word, you have to think and be able to say, if it's red and it's written in green, you have to tell me what color it's written in versus what the word says. So by doing this, it's getting the athlete to have to be very focused in the moment while calming themselves down to see a better vision of what they need to do. Now, Dustin even said he liked that drill because it gave you a feeling of relaxation and almost euphoria, if you will, almost like being high in a sense, because now your brain is getting more oxygen, your body's calming down, so it's using less metabolic energy and less demand on it. So when you do the physical straining tasks, you can go. So this is what I usually do in my sessions to start off. Now, there's a few moments in this fight. There's some back and forth. There's moments when I was jumping out my seat. Lost my voice pretty much, and I'm getting it back now. And I was like, oh my goodness. So these back and forths happen, but that's part of the game. So we do some drills to simulate what's going to happen in a mental component, not in a physical state. So one of the drills I do, it's called a concentration grid. So what we do is there's 100 numbers scrambled up on a small iPad screen where you have to find them in numerical order. Now, while this is not fight specific, I do it for a duration of 5 minutes. That way, the participant is getting that simulation of how long their brain has to be active during that duration. Now, while finding those numbers aren't hard, it's very monotonous, very boring. There's a part of the fight where he had Conor against the wall and they were exchanging, they were pummeling. And when this was going on, he had to keep his focus, and it gets frustrating because you're doing the same thing, trying to keep going and going while nothing else is happening, but you can't let up because that one let up could be your demise. So when we do that drill, the goal is to frustrate and make the participant have to keep thinking and focusing for a long amount of time while they're reacting to the fit lights going off, so now their attention is being diverted. So this is getting you in your thoughts. So I feel that drill had a lot to do with things in that regard. Obviously, like I say all the time, what I do is not an end-all be-all, it's an extra tool. Obviously, Dia Davis shouts out, Mike Brown shouts out, Thiago Alves shouts out. They're the guys who got Dustin right and all his training partners. But this is the extra edge where it gets your brain in the simulated state of doing something over and over and over again without having to physically tax yourself. So it's almost like recovery, but it's still training. Now, there's another part I saw when Conor did a spinning heel kick and Dustin quickly blocked it. Now, peripheral vision is when you see things out the side view of your eyes, because obviously your focus right here is where mainly what you'll see. Your eyes taking the light, and whatever you're looking at is going to get the most attention. But what's going outside still needs focus, and we train that. So I have another drill where I put more mental focus, where he had to look at a screen, a tablet with pictures of Conor either doing a strike or just a portrait of him. They're either red or blue. Now, the point of this drill is he's visually getting that stimulus of seeing his opponent. I say, see your opponent, beat your opponent, right? So he hasn't seen them in years in person, but here he's getting that visual image. His brain's encoding it. It's priming his brain, seeing that picture of Conor, seeing that picture of Conor, seeing that picture of Conor. But also he's thinking, because it's not going to be that simple, he's going to have to dictate what color and what strike he's doing. So if it's red and it's a strike, he's going to think 1. If it's blue in a portrait, he's going to think 2. If it's red in a portrait, he's going to think 3. And if it's red in a strike, he's going to think 4. So while he's seeing these different images pop up every few seconds, he's seeing Conor's picture, seeing different strikes, seeing his face, getting it ingrained in his head, but he has to remember, what is he doing? How much is he adding? And while that's all going on peripherally, he has to put out the fit light, either laterally, quickly moving, or I do it stationary, but either way, he has to attend to what's outside of his center view. So if you look at and see them side by side, this carries over in that respect. Now, the last part, this is a drill I use with something called a vector ball. Now, the vector ball is a light up LED light ball. When you bounce it, it turns red, green, or blue. Now, I do a drill very simple, and this is probably the most specific I get. I'll bounce it, I'll have the participant bounce it, and whatever color it turns dictates a combo. 1, 2, 2, 3, or 2, 1. Now, also, I'll have to move to the same color cone laterally, so they're doing footwork. Now, I'm liking this to the finish. When he had Conor on the ropes, finishing him off, every time he's throwing strikes, Conor's trying to guard himself, changing position, changing levels. You got to keep thinking, keep running with the punches, pun intended. So this drill is great, and it also gets a little bit of conditioning because we usually do it for 30 seconds to even a minute. So now it gets a heart rate up, and that's what we want. We want you thinking in a fatigue state, thinking while your heart rate's elevated, because typically what happens is the blood from your brain or your whole body is going to go to your extremities, fight or flight, right? So your brain is going to get less blood activity, meaning you're not going to think as efficiently. In the prefrontal lobe, that's where decision making happens, impulse control. When you put yourself in bad predicaments, you do not need that in a fight. That's no bueno. Now, all in all, Dustin's a mentally tough person. He has great mental capabilities by far, even before I did anything. So, like I said, this is just an add-on. But seeing him at UFC 257 defeat Conor TKO in the second round exceeded everyone's expectations. Not mine, though, because I knew he could do it. And just like his wife Jolie said,
the last time you're gonna doubt my husband, I swear to God.
That's right, Jolie. You're completely right. And remember, this is a mental breakdown, and get your mind right.
Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? Y'all can do it like me. What you do it like? What you do it like? Y'all know how to